Welcome, Chosen One. Listen carefully to this. Rarity is not only precious, it is dangerous. This isn't just a saying, it is a law in every physical, spiritual, and even economic realm. In nature, the rarest organisms end up either worshipped, hunted, or locked away in display cases. In fact, scientists estimate the odds of someone having the exact same DNA sequence as you, the same life path as you, and the same spiritual imprint as you're literally 1 in over 7 billion. And that's before even adding God's hand into the equation. But here's the twist. Being 1 in a billion isn't just about uniqueness. It's about being the glitch in the matrix, the plot twist the enemy didn't see coming, the human equivalent of finding a talking goat in rush hour traffic. Impossible to ignore and just unsettling enough to make people nervous. Some will call you gifted. Others will call you strange. A few will call you dangerous. And all will be right. Because Chosen One, you don't just stand out, you stand apart. You are a walking paradox. Too ancient to be fooled by modern lies. Too futuristic to be confined by old systems. Today, we're removing the fairy tale version of being special and exposing the raw, unpolished truth about what it really means to be 1 in a billion. No cliches, no added sugar. Just 14 profound, uncomfortable, mind-stimulating realities that will make you understand why the world doesn't really know what to do with your kind and why it never will. Number 1, your existence was not designed for mass consumption. You were never meant to be easily digestible. People have been trained to prefer what they can quickly label, understand, and place into neat little boxes. But you shatter their categories. Your personality, your convictions, the way you see life. It doesn't fit the mold they're accustomed to. It's not because you're trying to be different, but because your essence carries a weight and density that cannot be diluted to please the masses. The truth is, most people don't want to make the effort to understand someone. They want superficial connections, predictable responses, and convenient personalities. You are not wired that way. You have depth in a world that thrives on superficiality. You have layers that require patience to uncover. And not everyone has the discipline or spiritual capacity to get past the first one. To the untrained eye, you may seem like too much or too intense, but that's because they're used to light snacks. And you are a full course meal. Your presence forces people confront more than just you. It makes them confront themselves. That's where the discomfort comes from. They cannot consume you without also tasting their own insecurities, contradictions, and half-truths. For some, this is inspiring. For others, it's infuriating. And so, rather than admitting they lack the capacity to truly receive you, they try to reduce you to something they can handle. But the divine does not create manageable souls. God did not send you here to fit perfectly into the expectations of the majority. You were designed for those who are willing to wrestle with truth, wrestle with their own hearts, and still show up ready to embrace what they do not fully understand. This is why you often feel misunderstood or even isolated, because the average person doesn't know how to handle a mind like yours without diluting it. And if you've ever tried to make yourself more palatable, you've probably noticed it never works for long. Your authenticity is too potent to be permanently suppressed. Not being for everyone is not a flaw. It is proof that you operate on a frequency that only a select few can tune into. Those who can will treat you like the treasure you are. Those who can will spend their lives explaining why they couldn't keep you. In either case, your value remains the same. Beyond mass consumption, beyond imitation, beyond any measure. Number 2, you are the glitch in the system that proves the code is faulty. Every system you have ever set foot in came with rules, some spoken, some silent. Families have them, workplaces have them, cultures have them. They function like computer programs running in the background, deciding what is acceptable, what is normal, and what is possible. Most people follow these rules without ever questioning them, because they've been conditioned to believe that the way things are is the way things must be. But your life is living proof that the program is not perfect. You are the glitch that reveals the code is defective. From the beginning, you didn't function as expected. Where others conformed thoughtlessly, you questioned. Where others stayed silent to keep the peace, you spoke up. Where others accepted limits, you pushed against them. This wasn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It was your spirit refusing to operate on a faulty operating system. It made you stand out in ways you couldn't hide, even if you wanted to. The thing about being the glitch is that you expose the illusion that the system is infallible. When you succeed in ways it said were impossible, or when you break free from structures it said were unbreakable, you force people to confront the fact that maybe the way it's always been done is not the truth. It's just tradition. And tradition, once exposed, begins to lose its power. This is why systems, whether social or spiritual, often try to neutralize people like you. Not because you're loud or disruptive, but because your very existence proves they're not as absolute as they claim. Some will resent you for this. They have built their identity, their security, and sometimes even their morality around the system's rules. When you show up and effortlessly bypass those rules, it can feel like you're attacking the very foundations of their life. But your purpose was never to make people comfortable. Your purpose was to reveal what was broken. And sometimes that revelation hurts. You don't just challenge the rules, you challenge the source of the rules. You pull back the curtain and show that what everyone thought was unshakable was often just man-made, motivated by fear, or protective of power. This is why your kind is rare. You are not here to be absorbed into the system. You are here to change the code. And once a glitch is discovered, the system can no longer pretend it was perfect. Number 3, you carry an atmosphere, not just a personality. Some people enter a room and blend into the background. Others enter and instantly change the air without saying a word. You are the latter. What surrounds you isn't just personality or charisma. It's an atmosphere. It's the combination of your energy, your history, your convictions, and your spiritual alignment all moving as one. It's not something you perform consciously. It's something you carry. People react to you before they even consciously register why. Some feel drawn, others feel unsettled. Both reactions are because the space around you carries a frequency that either resonates with their truth or disrupts their comfort. Your presence has a way of magnifying what is already within someone else. If they have peace, you amplify it. If they have hidden guilt, you expose it without trying. This is why you often notice people behaving differently around you, speaking more softly, acting more kindly, or suddenly becoming defensive. Your atmosphere is shaped by the battles you've won, the pain you've endured, and the wisdom you've gathered. Every trial has left a mark, but instead of bitterness, it has given you depth. Every lesson you've learned didn't just stay in your mind. It infused the energy you bring into any space. This is why even strangers sometimes treat you with unusual respect or suspicion. They aren't reacting to your appearance, your age, or even your words. They are reacting to what you carry. It's also why environments can't hold you for long if they aren't aligned with your spirit. When your atmosphere is stronger than the one you enter, one of two things happens. The space shifts to match you, or it resists you until you leave. Both outcomes confirm the same truth. You are not neutral. You tip the scales in every room you enter. And while some might try to imitate this effect, it cannot be faked. Atmosphere comes from authenticity, from going through seasons that force you to root yourself in who you are. It cannot be bought, taught, or borrowed. It is earned by living fully and refusing to compromise your essence. You don't just participate in an environment, you redefine it. This is why you can never be just another face in the crowd. Your presence is a climate, and everyone must adjust to it. Number 4, your mind is an unforged weapon. Most people are shaped early in life to fit into a predetermined role. They are taught how to think, how to behave, how to limit themselves, so they slide perfectly into the sheet society holds out for them. Their edges are filed down. Their fire is dimmed to a manageable glow. They become predictable, and predictability is easy to control. But you never fully submitted to that process. You did not let the world finish molding you into something safe. Your mind remains raw, burning, and untamed. This rawness is not recklessness. It is power that has not been domesticated. You have not been blunted into a shape that can be easily labeled or comfortably stored. This is why people find you hard to categorize. One moment, you are quiet and observant. The next, You slice through lies with precision. You don't always follow the expected sequence, and this unpredictability keeps those who oppose you on their guard. The enemy's weapon is anticipation. If they can predict your moves, they can prepare for them. But when your mind moves in ways that don't follow usual human patterns, they cannot anticipate where your next strike will land. They cannot find your limits because you refuse to live within them. Your unforged state also means you are still evolving. Every battle, every challenge, every season shapes you in real time. You are not a finished artifact sitting in a display case. You are a living weapon still heating in the fire, still being shaped by the hands of God Himself. This is a terrifying reality for anyone who underestimates you. Because if you are already this effective now, what will you be when your full potential is revealed? This is why some try to push you into premature definitions. If they can name you, they can frame you. If they can frame you, they can limit you. But the truth is, no one can fully measure you yet, not even you. And that is your advantage. The dangerous weapon is not the one everyone has studied. It's the one they have never seen before and cannot understand until it is already struck. Number 5, you outgrew the stage before they even finished building it. Some people spend their entire lives waiting for a moment they believe will define them. The big break. The opportunity that finally puts them in the spotlight. They rehearse for it, prepare for it, and build their entire identity around the idea of one day standing on that stage. But you saw something they didn't. You recognized early that the stage they were building was not designed for someone like you. It was too small, too limiting, and too scripted for the scope of your mission. It wasn't arrogance. It was clarity. You could already sense that your calling was not meant to be confined to someone else's idea of success. While they were making sure the lights and curtains were perfect, you realized that if you stayed, you would eventually have to shrink to fit into their script. And you were not made to play a role written by people who don't even understand the depth of your purpose. Leaving before the applause is one of the hardest things to do. The temptation to stay and get at least some recognition is strong. But you understood something most people don't. Applause can be a prison. It can keep you tied to a place that looks like success, but is quietly suffocating your true mission. By leaving, you avoided being trapped in a version of yourself that would have satisfied others but betrayed your calling. And here's the thing. People rarely understand when you make that kind of exit. They will call it fear. They will call it impatience. They will call it a failure. But what they can't see is that you weren't leaving for something smaller. You were leaving for something that didn't exist yet. You were leaving to build a platform that could support the full weight of your voice, your vision, and your anointing. The truth is, if you had stayed, you might have been celebrated for a moment, but forgotten in the long term. By leaving, you positioned yourself for an impact that will outlast the crowd's attention. You didn't just jump off their stage. You want to build your own arena. And when your time comes, it won't be about the applause. It will be about alignment. Number 6, you inherited battles that did not start with you but will end with you. There are struggles in your life that have nothing to do with your personal choices. They didn't start in your lifetime, and they didn't originate from your mistakes. Some of the resistance you faced has been passed down like an unwanted inheritance, woven into your family's history long before you arrived. These are the battles that have quietly consumed your lineage for generations. They show up as patterns, cycles, and unspoken curses that everyone feels but few can name. You did not choose these wars, but you were chosen for them. Not because you're the most agreeable or the most willing, but because you are the one equipped to dismantle what others could only survive. Where past generations learned to endure the fight, you were given the insight to dismantle it. This is why your life has felt heavier than most. You are not just carrying your own struggles. You are carrying the unresolved missions of those who came before you. The weight is unfair, but it is purposeful. The armor you've had to develop, the resilience, the discernment, the spiritual sharpness, wasn't just for your personal battles. It was forged so you could finish the ones that have silently drained your family's potential for centuries. And when you fight these battles, the resistance can be fierce. The enemy knows that if you win, their plans, influence, and control will begin to collapse. This is why the warfare seems more personal, more relentless, and more exhausting for you than it ever seemed for others. You are the tipping point. You are the breach in the dam. Finishing a generational battle requires more than strength. It requires refusing to repeat the mistakes that kept it alive, even when those mistakes feel familiar and comfortable. It means setting boundaries others never dared to set. It means saying no to what everyone else tolerated. It means walking away from agreements you never signed but were born into. You are the final fighter, not because you were the only volunteer for fight, but because you are the first one capable of winning. When you finish this, your lineage's story changes forever. Number 7, your spirit holds blueprints that others don't even know exist. People often mean well when they give advice. They speak from their own experience, their own victories and defeats, their own understanding of how the world works. But there is a limit to that guidance. It can only cover the terrain they have personally traveled, and your life was never meant to follow the paths they know. You were born carrying blueprints for landscapes that don't even appear on their map. This is why their advice sometimes feels ill-fitting, even when it comes from love. They offer directions based on roads that lead somewhere else entirely. They cannot see the terrain you're navigating because it hasn't been discovered yet. And you are not here to be a tourist. You are here to be a cartographer. This role can be lonely when there is no path in front of you. There is no one to walk ahead and say, "This is the way." You must rely on your own discernment, your own connection to God, your own ability to notice signs that others overlook. While they need road signs and confirmation, you are guided by an instinct sharpened by struggle, by a vision that doesn't come from human wisdom. This is also why your decisions often confuse people. They can't understand why you would leave what seems safe, why you refuse opportunities they would do anything to have, or why you take risks that seem reckless from their perspective. What they don't realize is that their safe road could be your dead end. You aren't ignoring wisdom. You are following another kind of map, one with destinations that require courage even to name. Carrying invisible blueprints also means you sometimes see danger long before others do. You know when a familiar road is about to collapse. You can sense when a promising shortcut is actually a trap. This foresight isn't paranoia, it's a gift, one that has saved you from disasters others walked into blindly. In the end, those who doubted you might one day ask you for the directions they once tried to give you. Because when you finish mapping your journey, you won't have just survived the unknown. You will have drawn the maps others will depend on for years to come. Number 8, you expose the illusion of their authority. Some people believe their power comes from titles, positions, or the ability to control others. They are used to giving instructions and seeing them follow without question. They build their sense of importance around the idea that they have the authority to determine who rises, who falls, who is included, and who is left out. But when they meet you, something in that framework begins to shake. Your resilience forces them to question how much control they really have. You don't move like someone waiting for permission. You don't operate as if your destiny is locked in someone else's filing cabinet. You keep moving whether they approve or not, whether they open doors for you or keep them shut. And when they see that, it becomes clear that their authority was never as absolute as they imagined. You don't challenge them with loud rebellion or direct confrontation. You do something far more threatening. You are living proof that they cannot stop what God has ordained. This kind of silent defiance exposes the limits of human control. It reveals that most of what people call power is actually influence based on conformity. And you are not built for blind conformity. Your ability to stand, adapt, and keep progressing in the face of opposition shows everyone watching at their position does not make them the gatekeeper of your life. This realization can shake the foundations of those who have built their identity around being in charge. Sometimes this exposure makes them double down. They might try harder to block you, to make an example of you, or to discredit you so others won't follow your lead. But no matter what they do, you keep showing up, and your very existence continues to prove that the ultimate source of your provision, opportunity, and progress is not them. This isn't about disrespecting people in positions of power. It's about refusing to give them a role in your life they were never assigned by God. The moment they realize you will fulfill your purpose with or without their stamp of approval, the illusion shatters. And once that illusion is gone, everyone watching begins to see the truth. Authority without divine backing is just a title. Number 9, you force hidden loyalties to the surface. You don't need to accuse anyone, start a dispute, or set elaborate traps to discover who is really in your corner. All you have to do is keep being yourself. Your authenticity has a way of making people show their true colors. Not in theory, but in action. When you live without performing for the crowd, it disrupts the comfort of those whose loyalty lasts only as long as you fit their expectations. Some people attach themselves to you for what you bring to their life. Access, security, influence, or even just a feeling of control they get from being close to you. As long as you are useful to their needs, their loyalty seems solid. But the moment your growth, your boundaries, or your calling requires them to adjust, you start to see the cracks. Suddenly, the support fades, the tone changes, and the "I'm always here for you" becomes suspiciously conditional. Your presence acts like a spotlight. It makes pretenders uncomfortable because it's hard to feign loyalty when you can't manipulate the one you're pretending for. Without you even trying, situations begin to arise that expose motives. A challenge comes and some disappear. An opportunity comes and some compete instead of celebrate. A shift in your path comes and some resent you instead of walk with you. This revelation can be painful. You may have believed certain people were bound to you by genuine love or respect, only to discover they were bonded to the benefit of your presence. But in truth, it's a gift. It's better to know who is for you when it costs them something than to be surrounded by people who would vanish the moment you are no longer useful. And it works both ways. Your presence also draws true loyalties into the light. Those who are willing to stand with you through it all reveal themselves when it matters most. These relationships may be fewer, but they are stronger, deeper, and more lasting. By simply existing in your truth, you remove the disguises others hide behind. You don't need to force their hand. Your life does the work. And once you've seen someone's true level of loyalty, you can never again be fooled by their words. Number 10, your absence creates more noise than your presence. When you're there, people get used to the stability you bring. They start taking for granted the way you hold things together, the way you bring balance, solve problems, keep the peace, or simply create an atmosphere where things run more smoothly. You do it so naturally they stop noticing it's you. They start to believe the harmony they enjoy is just the way things are. But the truth becomes undeniable when you step back. Your absence doesn't just create space. It creates an echo. The void you leave behind has a shape that cannot be filled by anyone else because it wasn't just about what you did. It was about who you were while doing it. The unspoken wisdom, the silent strength, the subtle influence, all of it vanishes when you do. And suddenly, what they assumed was automatic begins to crumble. People often mistake presence for noise and absence for silence. But that's not how it works when it comes to you. When you withdraw, the silence has weight. It presses in on the environment, making people aware of what they've lost. This is why some try to pull you back quickly. Not because they appreciate you, but because they can't handle the discomfort of life without your invisible support. This shift can be revealing. It shows who truly valued you and who simply value what you could provide. Those who respected you will acknowledge the difference you made. Those who only depended on you will scramble to replace you, and, failing that, might even try to downplay the loss to avoid admitting the truth. Your absence also forces growth, for them and for you. For them, it exposes where they leaned on you instead of taking responsibility. For you, it breaks the cycle of being invisible scaffolding holding up structures you were never meant to carry forever. And here's the irony. Some people will talk about you more when you're gone than when you were present. Not because you suddenly became more important, but because absence has a way of amplifying reality. You were never just there. You were the framework. And without you, the entire structure sounds different. Number 11, you are the intersection where the physical and the eternal meet. Your life does not operate on a single timeline. Most people measure existence by days, months, and years, the physical markers that can be counted on a calendar. But you live at the meeting point of two realities, the one that is seen and the one that is unseen. Every choice you make, every stand you take carries weight beyond the present moment. It leaves a mark not just on history, but on eternity. This is why your battles feel heavier than what's happening in front of you when you face a decision. It's not just about your immediate outcome. That choice resonates in realms you cannot see. It influences things far beyond your current environment, setting in motion blessings, protection, or breakthroughs that might not fully manifest in your lifetime, and cutting off attacks, curses, or chains that could continue for generations. Because you stand at this intersection, you attract the attention of both heaven and hell. Heaven sees you as a key player in fulfilling the divine strategy. Angels are assigned to your life, not just to protect you, but to support the missions God has entrusted to you. Hell, on the other hand, sees you as a threat to systems of control and destruction. This is why your struggles often seem spiritual before they even become visible in the natural. The opposition tries to influence your steps before they take form. It's not just the big public moments that count here in your life. Even the small decisions are loaded with spiritual consequence. Choosing to forgive, refusing to compromise your values, following divine instructions even when it's uncomfortable. These acts may seem ordinary to others, but in the eternal realm, they change landscapes. Living with this kind of dual awareness can be both empowering and exhausting. Empowering because you know you are never just going through the motions. Exhausting because the weight of responsibility is real. But this is the life of someone who is chosen. You cannot move without affecting both worlds. And when you fully grasp that your obedience, your integrity, and your persistence have an eternal impact, you stop living for the applause or approval of the present. You start living for the kind of outcome that will still matter long after time has run out. Number 12. You cannot be bought with what you have already outgrown. They can dangle in front of you the same rewards others desperately chase, but you've already tasted and outgrown them. What once seemed attractive now appears small, superficial, and temporary. The very things others fight for have lost their luster in your eyes because you've learned they cannot buy peace, restore integrity, or fulfill purpose. This is why attempts to manipulate you fall flat. People accustomed to controlling others with money, status, approval, or access find themselves frustrated with you. Their tools no longer work. You've already held what they offer and discovered it wasn't worth the weight it demanded from your soul. They cannot tempt you with a stage you've already left or a seat at a table you've already walked away from. Your values have shifted from survival to legacy. You are not interested in short-term comfort if it comes at the cost of long-term loss. You understand that many offers are not opportunities. They are traps disguised as rewards. They are designed to make you trade something eternal for something temporary. And because your vision extends beyond the expiration date of these prizes, you simply cannot be bought. This doesn't just make you harder to control. It makes you impossible to predict. When you are not driven by the same incentives as everyone else, the enemy cannot calculate your moves. You don't chase applause, so they can't silence you with rejection. You aren't desperate for validation, so they can't hook you with flattery. You aren't fixated on gain, so they can't threaten you with loss. What you have now is a leverage that cannot be replicated. The freedom that comes from not needing what they think you need. And this freedom is dangerous to systems built on fear and control. They can only buy the hungry. They cannot buy the fulfilled. So while others sell themselves for prices that will one day turn to dust, you keep walking with your eyes fixed on what does not fade. Your stakes are eternal. Your vision is unshakable. And your hands are too busy building something lasting to grasp what you've already outgrown. Number 13, you are a threat because you don't need a crowd to confirm you. You are dangerous to insecure systems because you operate without their currency of approval. Most people can be influenced, silenced, or redirected by the promise of applause or the threat of rejection. But you are already stamped, signed, and sealed by God, so their vote doesn't count. You didn't wait for a committee to certify your identity. And you don't need a crowd to validate your worth. This destabilizes those who rely on control. Their power depends on people being hungry for recognition, desperate for belonging, or fearful of exclusion. If they can convince you that your value comes from their acceptance, they can steer your steps without lifting a finger. But you broke that chain the moment you learned that being chosen does not require being celebrated. Your confidence doesn't come from being seen. It comes from knowing you are known. This subtle but unshakable assurance makes you immune to the emotional blackmail of approval-based systems. They cannot lure you with platforms or threaten you with exile because your foundation was never built on their stage in the first place. You were established in private long before you were noticed in public. The irony is that the less you chase recognition, the more your presence commands it. People who thought they could ignore you end up watching you. People who assumed they could erase you find themselves discussing you. And yet, you don't need their validation. Not because you reject community, but because you understand that your mission is not subject to a popularity vote. This makes you unpredictable. While others are still scanning the crowd for signs of acceptance, you're already moving toward the next divine instruction. You are harder to buy, harder to intimidate, and impossible to mold into someone else's image. Your authority is self-sufficient because its source is supernatural. In a world addicted to likes, followers, and public consensus, you are a walking disruption. Someone who is free before the applause, stable after the criticism, and unchanged by either. And that is why you are a threat, because you cannot be owned by the crowd you do not depend on. Number 14. You are the prophecy they didn't want to see fulfilled. You are the living proof that certain prayers in this world were for your existence to be delayed, derailed, or destroyed before it took form. Long before you took your first breath, there were words spoken over your life. Declarations, promises, and visions that terrified certain people and realms. They knew that if you ever aligned with the fullness of who you are, their plans, influence, and control would begin to collapse. And yet, here you are, not only alive, but drawing closer each day to the very fulfillment they dreaded. Your existence disrupts entire strategies that were built on the assumption that you would never reach this moment. For some, it wasn't personal at first. It was about stopping anyone to whom this prophecy might apply. But once you started showing signs, once your steps began to match the ancient script written about you, it became personal because the prophecy was no longer abstract. It had your face, your voice, your mannerisms. It had you. What they didn't count on is that the prophecy is not fueled by human permission. It doesn't run on the fuel of majority opinion, and it doesn't expire when opposed. Every attempt to stop you has only served to confirm that you are the one they feared, the one who would rise, and that their fear is justified, because the prophecy is not a guess. It is a guarantee. This is why your battles have seemed so intense. You weren't just fighting for a personal goal or dream. You were struggling against forces that saw you as a final link in a chain of events they wanted to break forever. You carry in your life the completion of something that began generations ago. And once it manifests through you, nothing can be reversed. And the truth is, the prophecy is already unfolding. Every step you take in obedience, every moment you refuse to give up, every time you heal instead of harden, it's all part of the unstoppable progression toward the very future they hope to bury. They cannot erase it. They cannot circumvent it. They cannot silence the living proof standing before them. You are not becoming the prophecy. You already are it. And that is why, no matter who opposes you, the end is non-negotiable. You win. You are not just a rare soul in a sea of millions. You are a force that reshapes the very fabric of reality. From the moment you enter this world, you carried a weight and a purpose that defies ordinary understanding. You don't fit the boxes others try to confine you in because your life was never meant to be simple or small. You are the living proof that systems can be broken, inherited battles can be won, and prophecies can be fulfilled against all odds. Your presence changes atmospheres and exposes illusions. You carry blueprints no one else can read, and your mind remains an unforged weapon, raw, unpredictable, and impossible to control. You don't need a crowd to confirm your worth because your identity was stamped long before you sought validation. And when you step back, the space you leave behind does not go unnoticed. It resonates with the truth of your value. You stand at the crossroads of the physical and the eternal, where every choice ripples beyond what eyes can see. You are not here for fleeting prizes or temporary applause. You move with a vision and a purpose that will outlast them. The battles you fight are not just your own. They belong to the generations before you and those who will come after. You are the final fighter, the prophecy come to life, and the unstoppable force no one has ever been able to fully predict or contain. This is a truth you must own. Your kind is one in a billion, not because it is easy or comfortable, but because it is rare and fiercely powerful. You carry a destiny that demands courage, patience, and unshakable faith. So do not shrink to fit the world's expectations. Do not settle for the crowd's applause. Keep walking your path with confidence, knowing that every step you take changes history, both seen and unseen. Your story is not just about survival. It's about rewriting the future. And that future begins with you. If this message resonated with you and ignited something deep within, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button and join the community of the chosen, walking this extraordinary path. Like this video if you are ready to embrace your true power, and drop a comment below, share your breakthrough or what this truth awakened in you. Sharing this with someone who needs to hear it could be the spark that changes everything. Don't hesitate to spread this message far and wide. Together, we rise, we break patterns, and we fulfill what was always destined to be. Your journey is only beginning, and this channel is here to walk with you every step of the way. Stay strong, stay authentic, and remember, you are one in a billion. We see you,